All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a really critical safety procedure, how to properly inspect a drilling rig's fire equipment. We're going to walk through this whole thing step by step to make sure everything is not just compliant, but more importantly, genuinely safe.
And look, let's be absolutely clear about the stakes right from the get-go. This is not just about ticking some boxes on a form. Not at all. These systematic checks, they're literally what stand between a small, manageable incident and a total, full-blown catastrophe. We're talking about a process that directly saves lives. Period.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about gearing up for the inspection. Then, we'll dive into checking those portable extinguishers. After that, we'll tackle the big stuff, the fixed systems and alarms. We'll cover how to find and document any issues you see, how to create a solid action plan, and finally, how to close that all-important compliance loop. Simple as that.
Okay, first things first. You just can't do a proper inspection if you don't have the right gear. Seriously, preparation is everything here, and that all starts with protecting yourself and making sure you've got the right tools for the job. So let's talk about your PPE kit. Every single piece in here is for a specific hazard you're going to face on that rig. Your fire-resistant coveralls, absolutely essential when you're near suppression systems. Those insulated gloves are going to save you from hot surfaces or electrical parts. And trust me, you are going to be so glad you have hearing protection when we start testing those super loud alarms. It all comes back to your own personal safety.
Okay, now for the tools of the trade. And this isn't just some casual walk-around, right? You need your facility's specific checklists, the ones that are NFPA compliant, from the National Fire Protection Association. You'll need pressure gauges, a digital camera, and let me tell you, that camera is key. A picture of some corrosion or damage, that's undeniable proof. It makes your documentation completely airtight.
All right, now we're getting into the hands-on part of the inspection. We're going to start with your first line of defense in an emergency, the portable extinguisher. These things have to be ready to go at a moment's notice, no exceptions.
So for every single unit you come across, you're doing 4 key checks. 1, is it charged up and ready to go? 2, is the body and the nozzle free of any damage? 3, can you actually get to it, or is it blocked by a bunch of stuff? And 4, is that inspection tag current? But you know what? Let's zoom in on the most important one, the charge.
Yeah, it really all comes down to this little pressure gauge. It looks simple, but man, it tells you everything you need to know. If that needle isn't sitting pretty right in the green zone, then that extinguisher is just not reliable. If it's undercharged, you won't get enough force. Overcharged, and it could blast out way too fast. Anything in the red? That unit gets flagged for service immediately.
Okay, so we've covered the handhelds. Now we're moving on to the rig's heavy hitters, the fixed suppression systems and alarms. Think of this as the rig's automated safety net, the thing that protects huge areas like the engine room.
So here's a number you've got to burn into your brain, 150 to 250 psi. For most of these fixed water-based systems, that's the sweet spot you're looking for. And listen, if you see a sustained pressure drop, I'm talking more than 10% over just 24 hours, that is a massive red flag. It almost always means there's a leak somewhere, and you've got to find it, fast.
Think of this as your master checklist for all the fixed systems, and every single point on here is critical. Take an obstructed nozzle, for example. It could be blocked by something as simple as a bit of dirt or some paint overspray, but that tiny thing can make that part of the system totally useless in a fire. You have to check every single one.
All right, what about the alarms? Well, testing them isn't just about pushing a button and calling it a day. As you can see here, each type of detector needs its own specific test. For a smoke detector, you use approved test smoke or an aerosol. For a heat detector, you need a specialized heat tester. The whole point is to actually simulate a real event to make sure the system does exactly what it's supposed to do when it counts.
Okay, so you're going through your checks and you find something. A low pressure reading, maybe a nozzle that's starting to corrode. What do you do now? Well, this next part is just as critical as the inspection itself. You have to document every single finding with absolute precision.
And I don't mean just jotting down a quick note on a pad. No, this is a systematic process. You need to map the exact location of the equipment, record its serial number, describe the problem in detail, and, this is so important, take a photo. That photographic evidence becomes your best friend, not just for clarity, but for proving compliance down the road.
And this quote really just nails it. Ambiguity is your absolute enemy here. A vague note like extinguisher needs attention is, well, it's useless. But something specific like port side CO2 extinguisher shows pressure reading in yellow zone, now that is actionable data. That level of detail is completely non-negotiable if you want to create a good repair plan and, pass an audit.
Look, an inspection report that's just a long list of problems is really just a piece of paper. The real value, the whole point of this, is turning those findings into a prioritized action plan. This is where you go from just observing to actually taking action.
And this right here is a super powerful way to do it. You have to triage, right? Because not all issues are created equal. A busted alarm system? That's critical. That needs to be fixed like within 24 to 48 hours. But some worn out signage? That might be medium, something you can slot into the next planned maintenance. Using a risk matrix like this makes sure you're always tackling the biggest threats first.
And this brings us to a huge point, accountability. Let's be honest, a task without someone's name on it is a task that's just not going to get done. So every single item on that action plan, I don't care if it's critical or low, it has to be assigned to a specific person or a specific team, and it needs a clear, firm deadline.
All right, we're in the home stretch now, the final phase. The repairs might be all finished up, but the job isn't over yet. Not by a long shot. You have to close the loop with all the official documentation. That's how you prove compliance and keep your safety records up to date.
This is that all-important paper trail that proves the work actually got done. You're going to complete the official inspection forms, you'll update all the equipment maintenance logs, and you'll file reports with agencies like OSHA. And hey, don't forget to send a summary report to management. It keeps everybody in the loop on the rig's safety status. And then, you schedule the next inspection.
So, you might be wondering, why all this paperwork? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. This is your official legal proof that you are meeting all the required industry and regulatory standards, from the NFPA, API, OSHA, you name it. If there's ever an audit or, heaven forbid, an incident, this documentation is your rig's official safety record. It's everything.
At the end of the day, what this all really comes down to is a shift in mindset. The goal of an inspection isn't just to find problems. It's about inspiring action. It's about continuously getting better and building a proactive safety culture where this stuff is everybody's responsibility, every single day. So I want to leave you with this one final thought. Getting a perfect inspection report, yeah, that's a fantastic achievement, no doubt about it. But the real question you have to ask yourself is, does your equipment passing the test mean your safety culture would pass too? Because that right there is the difference between a rig that's just compliant and one that's truly safe.